Would, because you're live, actually.
Hey, welcome
Yeah.
to This Is Not My Show. That's the name of the
Nah.
show now.
This
Welcome to This Is Not My Show.
is not my show. This is
It's not
not
my
my
name.
show. Hey, welcome, everybody. It's Don't Worry Wednesday on the Wednesday edition of Don't Worry Wednesday, which is called Don't Worry Wednesday.
Which day of the week is this?
Wednesday.
What's your favorite day of the week?
Wednesday.
And what's the name of a female who was the mascot of Wendy's?
Wednesday.
That's right. Trick question. It just sounds like Wednesday. It's Wendy's. It was said when I said the name of the restaurant.
Oh.
Oof. Wow,
Dang.
Joe. Wow. Dave is actually how it is. Yes.
Yes.
Dave is Wendy's daughter.
I think that's if so back though. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly why I said it. You said it was Dave. I was like, all right.
Yes. Well, welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a stream where we talk about worries to help one another. We are not professionals or professional help, but we will try to give helpful advice. Any questions or worries, feel free to drop them in the chat on the BSS website or anonymously at dww@bss.studio. The link is in the chat. Otherwise, you can direct message on Discord for an anonymous post or any Don't Worry Wednesday questions you may have to Static P, Princess, or Joe A, CDVNL. And the numbers
good at that.
are as follows. I am?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was taking me much longer to read.
I should have been a voiceover guy or something, right?
Right? That'd have been great. Actually, you could have done that as a profession. So could my brother. My brother would be excellent at that.
Yes, he would be very good at that. Absolutely. But anyway, welcome. Yes, we're not professional therapists. We just want to help. We want to be your friend. We want to offer some encouragement, love, perspective, anything we possibly can. This is one of the favorite things I do every week is to do this show. Partly because I get to hang out with Ryan, because he's awesome. And I also get to hang out with Jesse behind the scenes and Princess behind the scenes. And you guys are awesome. And yeah, it's just a great time to hang out with all of you in the chat. So yeah, we got some topics. But first of all, how are you doing, Ryan?
I am doing fantastic. Doing really great. Feeling good, being good, and I feel good being good,
You feel good being good.
When you're good, when you're being good, you feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's great.
Yep.
How about you, man? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little sore.
Good. Are you?
Yeah.
What part of you sore?
Actually my legs.
Your legs, okay.
More than anything. Yesterday was leg day with Igor Wojtenko.
And is he from
the Ukraine?
Ukraine? Okay.
From the Ukraine, yes.
Ukraine.
He lives
I had a Ukrainian
States
friend growing up, actually. He came to our school and he lived in our town. He was great, but I was his first friend. And I was surprised because I was in what's the name of what comes before middle school? Elementary. I was in elementary, 5th grade, and I made a friend, which was weird because I didn't usually make friends. And I happened to make friends with some new student, which was also weird because I never really approached people. So I have no idea how that happened. He must have approached me for some reason. Maybe because my mom sold him his house. And he saw me and he's like,
that could be.
You look like your mom. No, probably not. We were probably introduced to each other. Anyways, this kid was awesome, but he came from Ukraine. So he had that accent.
Yes, I love that accent. I love it.
Me too. Me too.
I was watching his video and he said, if you want to get rid of your belly fat, 3 things you must not eat are sugars.
He had explosions and stuff.
Sugars. Any wheat product. Fast food.
Oh, yeah, fast food.
Make sure to eat vegetables, proteins, and healthy fats.
Nice. Nice. I like him already. You'll have to share that guy with me.
He's awesome. Yeah, but at any rate,
but he made you do your legs, huh?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, he's got a workout program. I found a workout program. I don't know if I'm ready to promote it quite yet, but I guess I kind of already am. But
by association.
there's no equipment, so you don't have to buy anything, and you don't have to buy the program because it's all on his website. And it was really a genius move, because what he did was he provided the workout for free for everybody. Like, he's got a couple workout programs on his website, and what they do is each workout links to a YouTube video that he does the workout, and you just work out with him, right?
Right.
And so he gets anybody who does his workout program, he just gets a bunch of YouTube views.
Oh, yeah. And then he makes his money through YouTube.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber. So I was like, hey, that's a pretty smart idea.
Cool.
So, but that keeps the content free for everybody. And he did these when COVID-19 came out. He created these programs.
Nice.
So for people to work out at home and stuff like that. So yeah.
Smart.
Pretty cool stuff. But it's hard at the same time. But at any rate, yeah, we got some topics, don't we? Not just shamelessly plugging somebody who's not our sponsor. All right, let's see. We got some topics here, and we got the list is growing shorter. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, you can feel free to post it in the chat. Feel free to send it to the places where Princess said. And yes, but so anyway, we have some topics here, and I will list off the names. And if you hear your name, you just say, hey. Do
in that voice.
Just like that. Yep. So here are the names: Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, Princess, and Royal. And I know Princess is here.
Yep.
And we also actually, I think since it's been so long since we've seen some of the people from above.
Yeah, we can do theirs, right?
I'm thinking we should do the top one, because it's dated back to October 24th.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, hey, like almost 8 months. We could do that topic.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah. So I think we'll start with that one today. This is Sumner Kagan's topic. And if you're here, or if you're watching it after the fact, Sumner, thank you very, very much for the topic. And it's called About Giving Up. And I will Princess, I was about to post a link and Princess beat me. But yes, this is called About Giving Up by Sumner Kagan, and Princess, take it away.
Never give up. Never surrender. There are times in life where we feel like the whole world will crumble around us, where we feel like giving up and just ending all the pain. There are times where we just can't take another step. But take that step you must, because you've gone too far to quit now. Because you've shed too much blood, sweat, and tears to turn around and go back home. You have to dig down, dig to the deepest parts of your soul, and find the strength and find that courage to keep moving forward. You must find what you didn't even know you had, so that you can keep fighting, because you have to. Never surrender and never give up. Everything you need to have everything you want lies within you. You just have to find it to want it. Nothing can stop you unless you let it stop you. I can't tell you how many times the big bad bully that is life has pushed me to my knees. How many times I've wanted to quit it all and deny myself my dreams. But I didn't. I rose from the ground like a phoenix from the ashes, and I fought that bully. I fought that bully with everything I had, and when I lost, I rose up and fought it again. Every time I demanded a rematch, the bully got a little bit weaker, and I got just a little bit stronger. Every time I push myself up from the floor, that bully takes a step back, and I get one step closer to that glorious finish line. I don't think my dreams will ever come true. I don't have that hope somewhere down the line I'll have everything I could want. I don't believe that my dreams are possible. I don't have any of that because I don't need it, because I know it will happen, because I know I will achieve them. because I know that they aren't dreams. They're reality, because I never surrender. From Sumner Kagan.
Wow. That's a great topic. I mean, obviously it's kind of like, it sounds like advice we might give on this show, you know. But man, what a great message on this topic. Holy cow. I don't know how many of you guys have ever struggled with wanting to give up. There have been many times, and it still happens constantly, where I'm faced with that temptation of giving up, and I'm like, this is getting kind of hard. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. And then I just remember, well, wait a second. Giving up just isn't an option sometimes. Now, sometimes you have to adjust course, but when it comes to your hopes, your dreams, your goals, what you want to pursue, man, what a great thing. I think Winston Churchill said it. He gave this speech to a bunch of graduates, and he said, never give up. And then he said it again, and then he said it again, and then he walked off the stage. And that was it.
Brilliant.
Yep. So
I gave
anyway,
great speeches.
Yeah, right. Short ones.
Yeah, much shorter than my own, that's for sure.
Yeah, because we could talk forever.
Right? Here he is.
But anyway, Ryan, this is a great topic. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, obviously, I think Sumner Kagan in this topic, said a lot, which is important, and did it great justice already. It's kind of an interesting thing. I remember being in part of a business, and it's not like it was one of their mottos, but it was a frequent thing to say, and it was like, quit to what? Because it was a business where it was difficult. It required a lot of skills that most people didn't have naturally. You had to learn them. It was all about sales. It was all about getting people interested in things like that, and then keeping that interest in making friends, influencing people, all that. It was a big deal. And so a lot of times you would be in that business, but it's a business you work up towards. You invest your time into it and it pays back later, sort of thing. So you had to build your business. While you build your business, you're usually working another job or whatever. So anyways, long story short, there were a lot of times where people were like, man, it's so difficult and I'm not getting anywhere in this. Why don't I just quit? And then the response would be like, quit to what? You're doing this because you want to get out of your day job. What, you're just going to quit to your day job? You're already doing that and it's not enough. This is where you're trying to make more money. Quit to what? And so I think that's a really great line anyways throughout life, is whenever you have that feeling of giving up anything, what are you giving it up for? Where are you going to? Is it better or is it just easier? And I think that if we identify that, it makes our choices a lot more simple and a lot more straightforward, because we can go, well, I don't want to be a wimp, right? I don't want to be the weakling that just gave up because it's easier, right? I know that the good things in life are harder. You have to strive for them. They're difficult. They're a challenge. They take a lot of time. Anything of great quality takes time. You can whip something together real fast and it usually doesn't, people wouldn't say it's high quality, right? It's the quality things in life that require time and a lot of effort. So when you're like, I just feel like quitting, I think a great response to that, an inner dialogue, is to just ask that next question is, quit to what? Give up to what? And then from there, you can make a pretty solid decision. But sometimes, yeah, you do want to quit, right? I eventually quit doing that business, but that's because I wanted to pursue music, right? But even though I was pursuing music, I was still in that business for a long time. Part of pursuing music was with them. So I didn't really entirely quit the normal way you would just quit, like drop it all together. I was actually still involved in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's interesting. If you ask the question, quit to what, it actually puts out in front of you, lays it out like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going with it? Am I only feeling this way because I'm struggling with how I feel right now? Once you look at the bigger picture, you can start to relax a little bit because you're no longer looking at your current position, and you start looking at the grander scheme, and you can go, well, okay, I can keep on going, because the whole point of doing this was this, and I knew it was going to be hard. Maybe I didn't know it was going to be this hard or take this long, but when I look at the grand picture, is it still worth it? And if you say yeah, then go, right? So identifying those things is important, right? But yeah, outside of that, I think that when you have a dream, a lot of times, maybe you might feel like, I think more of a temptation is this, rather. A lot of times the temptation isn't giving up entirely. It's giving up in the moment and picking it back up later. I think that's one of the things that keeps us from our dreams the most is the temptation and giving in to, oh, I can do it later. I can do that, I'll do this other stuff first and then I'll go and do that. Doing that is often what slows us down the most and what keeps us from our dreams the most. I remember I didn't have dreams when I was a kid. Not like I had dreams when I slept, but I didn't mean like I didn't have big dreams like for myself. I thought the whole thing was stupid. I was like, I don't know why, but I immediately as a child, like most kids go through that phase of like, everything is, you can be whatever you want to be, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up, and, all that kind of crazy stuff, which is great. And then they grow up and then they get told by all their teachers and see in the world around them, oh, dreams aren't a thing you can achieve. So why I'm not going to try. That's pointless. It's a pointless effort. And then later in life, sometimes people on their deathbed, or sometimes they get reawakened through other activities. But people go, oh, I should have been using my time to chase my dreams. My dreams are actually achievable. Now that I can realize and think more logically about these things, and also more just, I guess, with greater desire, with the right influence, the right influence can either make or break us as human beings. If we're around the wrong people, we're just going to be like, yeah, life is crappy and stuff. If we're around the right people, we're going to think life is awesome and we can do anything with it, right? So who you're around really matters in that. So if you have your dreams, one of the best things they say is get around other people who are dreaming. Get around other people who are chasing their dreams, because they will empower you to chase your own. They will help you not give up in those moments. Because, like I said, the thing that a lot of times holds us back and then inevitably makes us feel like we can never reach it are those little moments where we just go, I'll push it off to later. I'll push it off to later. Or, I'm going to quit just for now, and then I'm going to retake it back up in the next month or whatever. And then eventually we just kind of go, well, I'll never do it. And so getting around the right people can keep your mind in the right place so that you don't give up on yourself in every small moment, so that every moment that you have a chance, you can take up an activity which moves you forward towards your dream. And then it starts, being more realized. But anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say about it.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate that. I love that phrase, quit to what? I remember hearing that and over and over and over again. And I could never really answer that question until we really started to formulate BSS. And then it was like, oh yeah, now. So then, it's not like I'm quitting my pursuit to my dream. I'm just adjusting my course. Right. And so like I was in the same company with Ryan. That's who we actually produced our first musical project together with and for. Like we released it through them, and like sold tons and tons of copies through there. Thousands. It was amazing. Yeah, it was like something like it was 10,000 the first weekend or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, sales wise,
it was fun. But
yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate,
it's the first thing I ever released. The first album I ever did.
Yeah, that's true. That was kind of fun. But at any rate, one of the things, I mean, that quit to what statement has driven me so many times. And it also reminds me, like, when I'm in that moment, like Ryan's talking about, when I'm like, oh, I can just do it tomorrow, or I can do it later. I can put it on my to-do list and whatever, right? Man, anytime I feel like laying back, then is the time to pull out that dream on yourself and to say, okay, why am I doing this? Before I decide, no, okay, I'm fine with whatever you decide to do. This is me talking to me, right? You can do whatever you want. It's your life, right? I tell myself this.
Yeah.
And it's like, but before you make a decision, let's look at why you want to do this. And then I start to remind myself, okay, here's all the things I need to do. Here's all the things that I want to accomplish. Here's the lifestyle I want to provide for my kids. Here's the lifestyle I want for myself. Here, like, and lifestyle doesn't necessarily just mean money and material things, but like, how do I want to spend my days? What do I want to be doing throughout my days? Right. And that's what, I mean, a lot of times when people think lifestyle, they always think, oh, a yacht and a big, huge mansion and, expensive cars and stuff like that. And that's a component of lifestyle for sure. But really, lifestyle is how you live. They always talk about it. Like people are like, if you want to get in shape, it requires you to change your lifestyle. If you're not in shape and you want to be in shape, then it's not something that's just going to happen. You have to change the way you live. And that's scary sometimes, for sure, because sometimes we get caught, we're kind of comfortable. Like, hey, I like doing what I'm doing. This is comfortable. It's not hurting too bad and everything. But then when you start to realize the potential of what's possible for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I could actually achieve something. And you start to get that little whiff of belief that something is possible. Eventually, if you look at that long enough, you're going to be, you're going to be tired of what you're doing. And you're like, I got to do something different. And then you move into the lifestyle change. Now everything changes a little bit and it's kind of uncomfortable and it might be kind of scary. And, you might be looking at all the things you have to do. You're like, I really don't want to do that. I did that. I think I talked about this on Monday. I did that with a workout recently where I was like, I told myself at the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And in my head, I was like, okay, cool. You don't want to do it. That's fine. You don't have to want to. You're going to do it anyway. So just start and then you're going to be fine. And that's the key. You start. And when you start, you continue. Because once you start, it's so much easier to keep going than it is to stop and then start again. We see it all the time at the martial arts school that my kids go to. We see people who are doing great. They're like top students and they're amazing and they're like really rocking and they're doing extra things and they're going up belt ranks really fast. And then all of a sudden something happens. Maybe it's something they can't even control. Maybe they got injured or maybe, they got sick or something like that. And then they're gone for like a month. They don't come back. And then every time when you see them come back, they've like lost the fire, the spark, they don't like all that energy and all that vigor that they had while they were going at first, it's gone. And it takes them a while to rebuild to the point where they actually are now, back where they were. It takes a long time to build that type of energy back up. But if you just continue and don't quit, just keep moving forward, however you can keep that energy going and you can keep that fire burning in your heart. And it's really, really cool. And it actually becomes fun and exhilarating. And the fear, when you redefine the fear as excitement, because it's the same bodily reaction, fear and excitement, they're the same. What you feel when you're fearful and what you feel when you're excited, it's the same. So you just relabel the fear as excitement. You say, oh, I'm actually just excited right now. And then you can be like, oh, this is good. So now I can move forward. Now, I'm sure some of you have been moving forward along the path and you've hit some roadblocks. I certainly have. Ryan has, you know, we've hit roadblocks together. Mm-hmm. And there are times in those moments when it's discouraging. It's nice to have some other people around you. It's nice to have a community. I love what I'm seeing in the chat, you know. I think it was Helmarock Hero said, I'm lucky to have found the right people in a stream like this. I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And the people in the chat here are so wonderful. I mean, everybody's so encouraging and nice and loving. This is such a great place to be. And when you surround yourself with people like that, it's much easier to get past those discouraging moments, those roadblocks, and say, all right, maybe I'll take a step back, I'll reassess, but not for too long, because I know that action is going to be the thing that actually keeps me going, and it's going to keep that fire going for me. So I love this topic. Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. And I love what Ryan said. Quit to what? And that's a great question to ask yourself. If you're going to quit what you're doing, what you're pursuing, okay, what are you going to quit to? What is the thing? And is that satisfying for you or not? These are questions we can ask ourselves. But yeah, it's amazing. Life can be a battle. Our pursuits will always be a battle. Achieving your goals will always be a battle. It will be hard. It will require more skills than you have, and you'll learn along the way. And it's okay. That's part of the deal. You can learn it as you go. It's one of the beautiful things when Ryan, I remember the first time I did Don't Worry Wednesday. I remember the first stream. I'll never forget the conversation I had with Ryan. And he just was reassuring me. He was like, you know, you're going to do fine. It's going to be great. You know, it's no big deal. As you know, and I'm just so nervous. And as soon as that camera went on, and it's like, okay, we're on. I remember like my whole world changed like right at that moment, because I'm like, now I'm live on a screen. I'm live on screens around the world.
Around the world. Nice.
And it's, yeah, it was kind of intimidating, but now it's super fun. So
so fun, you started up doing another one every morning.
Yep. Double Cup of Joe now is every morning, and yeah, that's super fun too. So hopefully some of that makes sense. I mean, I just get so excited about this type of stuff, you know, because it keeps me going. And I'm excited for my future. I hope you guys are excited for yours. And I really I'm enjoying every minute that I get to spend with you guys. So with that, Ryan, what else you got?
No, I don't really have a whole lot more. I guess the last thing I have to say is you have to spend time dreaming in order to actually have dreams. You know, I think it's important. Joe's really good at this, but you know, to take a moment, maybe every day, maybe write something on your mirror with a dry erase marker, or that you like in your bathroom, or write something and tape it to your ceiling when you wake up in bed. You can see it. Put stuff on your walls, right? Write something in the windshield of your car. Like that stuff, like it seems super corny, but it's what keeps us on track, right? I'm not very good at this, but Joe is actually really good at it, and I can tell because he's a dreamer. He's always coming up with great and new ideas, and he's always thinking about how to improve and things like that, because his mind is in that place, because his mind is currently being exposed to that stuff, that kind of stuff, because he works to make sure his mind is exposed. He exposes it to himself, and that's through training, that's through efforts. But, there's a lot of people out there in the world who like, I don't have any dreams. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm just kind of sitting here. I'm like, I guess riding the waves and we'll see where I end up. I'm just kind of living each moment as it goes, but I have no idea. Like there's nothing that's I'm passionate about or nothing that I feel like, oh man, I would love to do that when I grow up, or I'd love to be that for the world or whatever. And I think that's, that's delving into purpose. We had a few talks about that before. We had, Joe did a whole week on it with the other Joe and Double Cup of Joe on purpose and stuff like that. But I think if you're in a point where you're like, I don't know what my dreams are, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. Cool. Everyone's like that. But you should have some things that you know you want to do, right? And if you don't, you can start easily by just spending some time, take a list of like a sheet of paper and write down a couple of things. Just like think about it for a moment and think about some things that you would like. It could start with material things. Like, I think it would be cool to own a car. I think it would be cool to own this kind of car. I think it would be cool to have a hot tub in my house when I grow up. I think it would be really cool to have a sauna in my house when I grow up. I think it would be really awesome to have a swimming pool. Maybe it would be really great to have a king size bed, or maybe like a double king size bed. I'm going to put 2 king beds next to each other because I'm going to have a really big room, and I'm going to throw them together. Actually, I'm going to have 4 of them, and I'm going to have this huge bed, and it's going to be awesome. And I can throw all my stuffed animals in there, and it'll all fit because I'm going to have a lot of stuffed animals. Whatever. Okay, so that's called dream building, right? It doesn't like it. That's material, right? But that gets you thinking like, oh, I want those things, right? These are things I want. Sometimes you have to start there. Train your mind to start thinking about the things it wants that it doesn't have yet. And then you can go into, okay, what are things that I want to do for others? What are things that okay, I have my mom and I could really help her out with some finances stuff. That would be really cool. So I probably need some more money, things like that. Or it could be, I want to be an influence in the world. I want to help people move forward in this area. Maybe it's segregation and in racism. Maybe it's, a technology. Maybe it's wellness, right? Physical exercise or dietary or illness related, right? It could be mental things like, hey, I want to have an effect on people's mentalities so that they can have the right thinking so they don't feel depressed. I want to change the society in the way that works so that it's set up not for failure, but so that people, feel valued in society. There's all sorts of things that you can look around the world and see, this is something I want for the world. How do I do that? And then it gets your brain thinking, right? How do I do that? I think sometimes, how do I do that? And we don't have an answer yet is fine, as long as we're asking the question, because it's through that question that we start to look around, see what's available around us, having the opportunities that are being presented, and then talking to other people and seeing what their ideas are on those subjects. So if you are in a spot where, this topic doesn't necessarily stand out to you, and the topic for anybody who's joining is, the topic was about giving up, but it's also really about just having something to give up in a way. And if it's like, well, I don't give up because I don't have anything I'm chasing. Well, then you're not chasing anything important enough. Because things are hard when you're chasing, really, really, really big things. It's not easy. So you're going to have that. You're going to, this is the topic when you do find things that you want to chase with your life, things you want to do, things you want to do for others, things you want to do for yourself, and so on. But yeah, I think this is a really great topic. And it's also good for Joe and I, to talk about this stuff, because it helps us reorganize our thoughts and stuff like that, and then go back at our dreams and our visions with more clarity and more excitement and so on. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I would encourage every single one of you, once you start to figure out what kinds of things you want, excuse me, one of the best things you can do is find images that represent those things. You just Google search or whatever, you can find different images that represent the things that you're shooting for. And also you can write these things down, right? Has me pinpointed. Like, I have goals in my room, I get up, I look at my wall, and there they are. First thing. I look at them and I have it broken down. I have the main goal that I'm shooting for, and then I have like 5 or 6 steps that it's going to take to get there, you know, a few of those steps that is going to, you know, that I'm going to hit along the way, that I've just kind of figured, okay, well, if this is going to be the case, then okay, I'll probably have to do this before that, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then I kind of have it a few milestones along the way, right? So that way, especially on a complicated goal, you can kind of start to do some backwards planning, and you can be like, all right, if I want to hit that goal, then I'm going to need to hit these goals first in order for that to be real. So then you can start to break it down. And every time you look at a smaller chunk of the goal, it's really cool. And there's one of these chunks that's on my sheet that's about to be done, because it's deliver the Kickstarter product. Is one of those chunks, and we're just waiting to get our orders fulfilled, and then whoosh, we'll be sending it out, and then that'll be done in like, I don't know, man, be like 8 or 9 weeks, and that'll be done. And I can check that off the list and start focusing on the other ones, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. And if, like what Ryan was talking about, if you're having trouble coming up with something to run after, there are a couple things that have helped me. One was go back to when you were younger, because we all had dreams when we were younger, like Ryan was talking about. So think back to those dreams that you had when you were a kid, because you're still the same person. You're just grown up more now than you used to be. And probably some of those dreams you had when you were a kid still kind of turn your crank a little bit. They still get you going. They still make you excited. And there's still things you might want to do. And so you can kind of rekindle that fire and understand that anything is possible. Anything. Humans have proven that if you can dream it and you're willing to work for it, it can be done. And you're no exception to that rule. It's not just for everybody else. Every single person that did that was a human being, just like you. They had 24 hours in a day. They had to sleep. They had to eat. They had to go to the bathroom. They had all the stuff we all have to do, right? And when you realize that everybody who's accomplished big, huge things is just like you, you're like, oh man, all I got to do then is fix my mind, get to work, and then continue on the path until it happens. You just hit it until you hit it. That's one of the things. Is like, focus on what it is you want, look at it every day, and then hit it until you hit it. Meaning, get after it until you get there. And then just keep going. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ride. One of the things that we all want our goals so bad, we forget to enjoy the journey sometimes. And the journey brings some amazing stuff. My journey to my goals has brought me some incredible friends. Has brought me some incredible other achievements along the way, where I'm like, man, I've got stories to tell. I've got different things that I can show off. Like, we produced this album. We worked together, and man, all that time that we spent during that time, it was crazy. And there's stories abounding from these things. And, it's all in pursuit of the goal and all in pursuit of the dream. And that journey is exhilarating, and it's full of drama and passion. And it, you can turn your life into a major motion picture with all the drama and the ups and the downs and the everything. It's wonderful. It's a great time. So I love this topic. I could go on forever, but we probably ought to move on to something else.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sumner, if you are listening to this at any point in time, thank you so much for this post. I'm sorry that we never got to it before. Probably we should have just done it earlier, because this is such a good one. But at any rate, maybe we'll modify how we do these. We might just start going through all these old topics, because I'm sure there are some that we never did before also.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was absolutely golden. Thank you very much for the topic.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic.
And yes. What's next?
You're the host.
Oh, I'm the host. That's right. Dang it. All right. Well, moving on. Let's see. I will go through the list again. John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, Princess, and Royal.
That's all right.
If you heard your name, say yo.
Yo. Oh, wait, I didn't hear my name. Sorry.
Yeah, you're not allowed. Speak. Yo, cat.
Like a fish, like a fish, like a fish. Yo, cat. Salmon vanilla.
Yes. That's one of my favorite Static P songs.
Yeah, I wrote it in 20 minutes.
Yep, I love that one.
It's golden.
So, all right. Well, Princess is here, and Princess has a topic. So I think we should do that one next. What do you think, Ryan?
I agree.
All right. I'm glad you agree. I agree with your agreement. Princess doesn't know about that.
Oh, shoot. Let her know. I'll let her know. Joe agrees with my agreement.
I agree with Ryan, and I'm the host. And yeah, we're going to do your topic, Princess. So, yep. And there's the link.
Are you sure I'm here?
Thank you, Princess.
Yeah, she did say yo.
Yep, she did. So there it is. Yep. So there's the link. Click the link and read along with Princess. Princess, go ahead.
Do you know how sometimes you associate things with other things? Like earlier today, I realized that I made a wrong assumption unintentionally. When I think about something like quizzes, you either pass or you fail. You are right or you are wrong. What would you do to break associations with things like that? Like in this case, the person wasn't intending it to be a grading thing. It was just a funny remark. And I feel pretty bad afterwards since I just jumped to conclusions and misunderstood the good intentions of the other person. And on top of that, I have a really hard time recognizing certain types of playful comments or words like that. I take it kind of literally. While sometimes I catch myself and I ask the person or ask someone else, most of the times I don't notice until someone points it out. It's a little frustrating to myself since I can take things too far as I misunderstand and it ruins any fun that may have meant to be shared. Do you have any advice on recognizing these things? Or how to have a better reaction to things that could be seen as offensive? Much love and apologies. Princess.
Wow. Thank you, Princess. You know, I struggle with this too. I'm one of the most gullible people ever. You know, people will use sarcasm and people will joke with me and I'll take them totally literally. I remember the first time, this is my first job ever that I ever had. I was working at a grocery store and it was like my second day. And they're like, hey, go mop the walk-in freezer. And I was like, okay. Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, who would?
So I went and I mopped the walk-in freezer. And then so I did it. And then I came out and they're like, you actually did it? And I'm like, yeah, you told me I was supposed to do it. And I asked you, I verified. I was like, are you sure? I mean, it's frozen in there. Like, I'm going to mop the floor and it's going to get icy. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you actually did it. You're so gullible. Ha, ha, ha. That's one example of a lifetime of me taking things literally. And I just do that. And I think it's it can point to the potential damage we could incur when we use sarcasm. I've heard it said from people when they were talking about people skills that sarcasm is a very dangerous tool. and you have to be very careful, and you have to know exactly the person you're dealing with, and there's so many precautions to take. It's best to just avoid it. Now, I know people who sarcasm is their love language, it seems like. So they never got the memo on some of that. But at any rate, I hope Ryan has some good advice, because I feel
sure
like
hope so
you,
too.
Princess. I'm very, very gullible and take things literally too. So Ryan's gonna help us unpack this. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think the only thing that helps me here in this scenario, because I think it's hard to just preemptively, like, if you don't know whether someone is joking or not, you can't just go, there's like no necessarily, it's not necessarily just a logic you can follow that will go, oh, so they were joking, right? Because you don't know, you just don't, there's no way like to figure it out based on your information. Sometimes just like, I don't know. If you make the wrong assumption about what someone meant, even if they weren't joking, they were just being serious about something and you misunderstood what they were trying to say. There's no getting around that. That happens all the time. I mean, that happens even just like with my friends, and they know me well, but I might say something and they might understand it completely different than what I meant. And then I have to re-explain it like 10 minutes after we finish an argument about what I was not talking about. That happens. So I think the best thing you can do is something, that you pointed out already. And it was, hold on. Do you have any advice on recognizing these things? Okay, how to have a better reaction to things that could be seen as offensive. I think that's really a lot of times all you can do. Is fix your reaction. So what I do a lot of times personally to help avoid these things is give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I always try to give everyone the benefit of a doubt. If someone cuts me off in a line or something, if I'm driving and they have bad driving, if they say something and it's really offensive to me, I always give people the benefit of the doubt, meaning I doubt they were trying to hurt me, right? First of all, I doubt that they were trying to hurt me. So if they're not trying to hurt me and I feel hurt, then I've literally just hurt myself. So because it's me thinking about something and then feeling bad about that and then me causing pain on myself. So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So if I hear something and it's offensive to me, I try as quickly as possible to take that pain that I feel and go, wait a minute, hold off on that. And then go, maybe that's not what they meant. And then talk about it, right? Ask them a question or think about it, because sometimes you can think about it and go, okay, based on the scenario, that's probably not what they meant, because we weren't talking about that. So I doubt that that's what they were trying to bring up. There are some times when you can logic your way through it, but most of the time, if you're just confused, and you have to ask questions. And I think asking questions rather than being offended is super important, because I know that growing up, I was always just offended by everything and I never asked questions. I was afraid to ask questions because I thought people would think I was stupid. And I didn't want to look stupid. So I just pretended I knew everything. And then when I didn't know something, I was like, wow, I'm stupid. Like it was bad. All right. It was really bad. So the best thing you can do is ask questions and then find out, did they mean to offend you? A lot of times, like I said, they have no intention of that whatsoever. That was not even on their mind. They were just making a joke because they thought it would be fun to do so. I mean, that's like what jokes are for. They're enjoyable, right? But they're a lot of times enjoyable more so to the person saying them, especially when it's like this.
Yeah.
So always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Whenever you feel any pain from anyone through a words that they say or something like that, even if it seems blatantly obvious that they're just trying to hurt you, still give them the benefit of the doubt, because you might be wrong. They could be saying things because they think it's fun or enjoyable or funny to mock people, but their intention isn't to hurt you. Their intention is to have fun. You see, there's a difference there. There's a big difference. And while I would always recommend people get away from that type of humor, because it actually just hurts people a lot more than you actually have any fun, and you ruin your relationships with that kind of stuff. You know, you don't want to have fun at someone else's expense. It doesn't create good foundations for relationships, right? But if it happens, some people are just like that and they don't know better, right? They don't know the right words to use or how to say things. I mean, we're not all people. We're not all people. We don't all have people skills. And so that's my main thing, is just give people the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to understanding people, like if you hear something and you're like, are they joking, or are they actually just being mean? Do they mean what they say, or are they joking? I can't tell. If it hurts, then they're probably joking. If it's like, wow, they are so mean, either they're extremely upset and they're trying to feel better about themselves by saying something mean, which is weird and backwards, but it happens, or they're joking, right? And sometimes you can take things by context based on the things they say previously. Like, I don't know, sometimes you can identify a person's comments by their previous comments. So if they seem to be in a joking mood and then they start saying things that are kind of rude, it's likely that their rude remarks are simply jokes, right? If they appear in a happy, like fun manner, like they're like, I don't know, just they seem like they're enjoyable, they're having a good time, and then they start being mean, it's like a lot of times this happens over text where you can't read people's attitudes. But like if you're in a place where you're just reading text and you can't tell on the way they say things, or even sometimes in real life, people will be like, having a good time, and then they'll just switch face and just be like, yeah, but I hate you. And you can't tell the difference between their body language because they're really good at pulling it off. It's likely it's a joke. Like 99% of the time, that's going to be a joke. If people go from fun to really stern, that's part of the play. That's part of what makes it funny, is the humor of intensity, the humor of out of placeness, right? So when it comes to humor is a learned thing. We learn humor, right? Humans do that. And there are humors that are outside our comfort zone, our understanding. And then there are humors that really are only funny to us and other people don't get it. Sometimes humor can come from the amount of time you wait between a phrase and the next part of the phrase. Humor can come from just experiences that we've dealt with. Humor can come from things we heard that no one else heard before. So like inside jokes and stuff like that. Or you heard a comedian and so something's really funny in the aspect of what the comedian was talking about, but nobody else heard that comedian, so they don't get it. So it's not funny to them, right? So humor is a very knowledge-based thing. It's about how much you know. But also it can be just doing something unexpected, something ironic and things like that. So I guess when it comes to understanding if someone's being funny or if someone's being rude, part of it is getting to acknowledge and witness more of that type of humor. And then you come to understand it more and more to be able to decipher, okay, is this person joking or is they being serious, right? Sometimes people will take it to that next level. Sometimes you'll be like, they'll say something, they seem to be in a playful, joyful mood, and then all of a sudden they're like really dead serious and they say something really rude. And then you're like, are you serious? And they're like, I'm dead serious right now. And they'll pull it off. They'll pull through the whole thing because it's really funny to them that they get to act this way and you buy into it. And when you buy into it, it's really funny to them, right? It's not funny to you, right? And so they're going to sell it as hard as they can because that's the joke to them, right? So when that happens, like I said, you just got to give them the benefit of the doubt and just be like, there's no way this guy's being serious. I'll just let it, I'll just let it slide because this is so weird, right? sometimes you just end up the sucker of a joke and you're like, oh, I did fall for that. Okay, bummer. All right, because we make mistakes. We all do. Sometimes we just buy into it. We're like, well, I failed for that one. Oh well. Here I go. Continuing on. Sometimes I think one of the things that helps me the most is to identify the realisticness or the likelihood of something. Like if someone's just all of a sudden being that way with me, my mind will go, is this real right now? Is like, are they being serious? And if I start questioning myself, my mind goes, yeah, they're probably just trying to pull one over on me. And so then I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll take what you say and I'll listen, but I'm going to be really, really skeptical. Because I've had people try to pull things over on me, say really weird things like that is not going on right now. Like I remember having to deal with, it wasn't humor, but it was actually a person who was, they had really, really intense mental problems. And I talked to them online, but not through voice. It was all text. And this was back in the day. This was like Yahoo Messenger. This was 20 years ago.
Wow, Yahoo Messenger.
Maybe 15 years ago. But yeah, this person, I could tell eventually that this person had some problems with their brain, but they would say things that were like really ridiculous and unrealistic. Like there are things that could happen. Like, hey, the police are at my house right now. And then I'm like, why? Well, my boyfriend just threw a chair at me. And I'm like, why are you talking to me on the computer? Stop typing to me and get with the problem, girl.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, this all sorts of weird stuff, right? Like things that could actually happen, but things that were just kind of really misplaced. And I think that kind of trained me to notice things that were misplaced, just because I'm like looking out for like, is there an issue? Could this be like just playing with me? I want to respect them and I want to be kind and I want to treat it as if it were possibly real, so that if it is real, I can react to it and make it, and not hurt their feelings, right? And be like, oh, I didn't believe you. Like, you don't believe what I was saying, man. This was an intense situation. What? I don't want to do that to them. So I just am really skeptical when people tell me stuff. And sometimes that pays off. Sometimes I just have to go, okay, so that's a real thing that's happening. All right. Okay. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, anyways, that's enough of that. I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say about the topic.
That except for the fact that I also struggle with this, Princess, and I think recognizing them, I still have trouble recognizing, when someone's trying to pull one over, especially like when Ryan's talking about, like they're playful and then all of a sudden they get really serious and then they continue being serious and they don't play it off as a joke. They just keep being serious. And then you're like, wait a minute, are you like truly saying? So one of the things, though, I think one of the things that I've done in order to respond better to this type of situation is I ask the questions, and I love what Royal said here in the chat, bonus points. By asking them, you make it clear to them your own boundaries, what you find acceptable and what you don't. So it's a win-win, and that's very true. So when you actually ask the questions, and one of the things you have to understand is that you have just as much dignity as they do. And if they're trying to, pull one over on you, then you have the right to not have one pulled over on you. You can expect someone to be honest with you and direct. And so one of the best responses is to be honest and direct and ask the honest question directly. And you don't have to do it in a mean way. You just can do it in a calm way. But one of the ways to build yourself into a person that can handle this type of situation, whether it's offensive or someone's trying to make fun of you, or for whatever reason at all, is there are these things called daily affirmations. And I know, like, what does that have to do with this? But a daily affirmation is basically like an encouraging statement you say to yourself about yourself, right? And it doesn't have to be cheesy. A lot of times people think daily affirmations are cheesy, much like the whole dream wall thing that, we talked about in the last topic. But it's just you're reaffirming yourself. You're saying things about you that you recognize as good qualities, and it helps you to understand, wait, I'm a valuable person. I'm as valuable as this other person. We are on the same level here.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're trying to pull one over on me, I'll be like, really? And I'll just understand I am as big as you. Personality wise. So like not necessarily size, right? We're all different sizes. But so like, and then maybe I'll joke back. If sometimes I'll throw one back. If I think they might be joking, I'll try and think of something I can throw back at them. But all that comes from having a self-assurance that comes from, things like, daily affirmations, things like daily exercise or stretching, things that do good for you, that help you grow as a person. If you're actively in growth mode, like, this will smooth out, because you will understand your value as a person and their value as a person, and you will see them on the same plane. And if you take something that might be a joke, then you will just shoot back another joke at them, and then see where that goes. And if they all of a sudden get really serious on you, then maybe, it's just whatever. But so that's one thing, is to, do things in your life that help you to grow as an individual, right? So the things we talked about: dreaming, working, trying hard in your pursuits. I could say getting up early, but sometimes that's not always possible. But different things that help you feel more self-assured, right? And it's like what Ryan talks about, living with virtue. Those things make you feel more self-assured and peaceful and confident. And it doesn't matter what somebody throws at you. Because really, when it boils down to, me feeling uneasy about what somebody says to me or about me, or if they're going to make fun of me, it comes down to whether or not I care what this person thinks about me. Really. And that's an issue of pride that I've found in myself so much. Where it's like, if I'm concerned about what another person thinks about me, that is actually a form of pride for me. And so if I'm self-conscious all the time, now this is a trap that we all fall into from time to time, right? This isn't something that we fully escape. This is something we might fade into and out of, but it's a good thing to remind yourself of, because you can, if you can, remember, wait a second, I don't care what this person thinks about me. And I remember coming to that conclusion finally, after years and years and years and years and years, and finally thinking to myself, wait, I don't have to care what this person thinks about me. Now, I can care what they think about me, but I don't have to. And so
You
most of the
still
time,
exist as you are, regardless of what they think.
exactly. Right. Yeah. And I'm still going to mess things up. Big deal. I messed it up. Oh, well. And, so that, and when you, the part of the joke, when people are doing things like this, like what Ryan was describing, when they're trying to get one over on you and they're doing stuff like that, part of the joke is getting your reaction.
Right.
And when you don't care what they think about you, it takes all the ammunition out of that attack. All of it. They can't hurt you. And when you're there and when you're not affected by what they say, because you're just like, so like, I don't care what you think. Like, what? You don't even have to say it out loud. You can just, if you have that mentality, it just comes out in your body language. And then they know, and then they start to know better, where they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to get a rise out of this person, so I'm not even going to try. Right. So maybe we can say some smart comments back and forth or whatever, but I'm not going to be able to get the upper hand in some kind of a joking type of thing here. Right. Because I don't care what you think. Like, frankly. And I had to get to that point with my wife, and you would think that's somebody you would care what they think about you. But we had such marriage struggles for so long that it got to the point where I was like, well, honestly, I don't care what you think. I'm going to try and do the right thing regardless. The right thing for our marriage, the right thing for our family. I'm going to try and do the right thing, and I don't care what you think. And amazingly enough, when I got to that point, that's when things went from the worst they'd been to a little bit better. It's amazing because when you have that self-assurance and self-respect, and so when you can do things that build that self-respect in yourself, then others will follow suit. I think Joe said it today on Double Cup of Joe this morning. He said, people in a lot of ways, they are your mirror. So like when you're dealing with people around you, you're actually seeing reflected back to you how you are approaching the world. So if you don't have self-respect, then you can expect that others will not respect you as much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same. Like if you're
It's very
happy,
true. It's entirely
other
true.
people will be happy. If you go around town and you paste this smile on your face, this genuine, great smile, you are going to get, if you do that, you're going to get, exactly.
People will love you.
Right.
Before
If
they
you have
even
a
meet
real
you.
smile, if you go around smiling, people are going to smile back. Or they're going to see you and they're going to smile. I dare you actually try that sometime. Even if you're just driving around, just smile at people and see their responses. It's hilarious. Sometimes they'll catch themselves smiling and they'll be like, "Wait, I'm supposed to be in a bad mood." And they'll like fix their smile.
I've seen that.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think like to deal with this, how to have a better reaction to things that could be seen as offensive, I think the real answer is to build yourself, to do the things like Ryan talks about, living with virtue, pursuing a life of virtue. So then you can have that life of a peaceful confidence, a peaceful confidence that's self-assured and that respects yourself as a person, where you're saying, okay, I am a human being. I'm made in the image of God. I am a person of infinite dignity, and so is everyone else that I'm dealing with. We are all, endowed by our Creator with infinite dignity. We are amazing creatures. And the more we do things that support that, the more we'll be able to skate through no matter what the situation is. We'll be able to just relax, be ourselves. If there's an issue, we can handle it, and we can handle it lovingly and directly. And if there's a joke, we can fire a joke back. We can maybe play along. who knows? And you just kind of start to get a feel for stuff. But even still, I have a hard time picking up sarcasm. I really do. I have a hard time when somebody says something sarcastically and they mean the opposite, but I don't get it at all. And so then, most of the people I know have learned to not use sarcasm around me, because I'm just like, really? And I'll take them like totally dead serious, and I'll start doing the thing. And they're like, no, I didn't mean to do that. And I'm like, you said do exactly that. What do you expect me to do? Well, I expect you to take the joke. Well, I didn't get it. Sorry.
Then you gotta be like, this is your fault.
Yeah, exactly. It's your fault. I'm doing this because you told me to. I was following your directions. And I've even told that to bosses before, where I'm like, okay, there's a couple things you got to know about me. I work really hard and I try and get things done. I'm the type of person that wants to get done with things, right? So and another thing, I follow directions. 2 things. I work hard, I try and get things done, and I follow directions. So if you think it's funny to give me wrong directions, just understand a lot of wrong things are going to get done in a short period of time. And it's not going to be my fault. I can be taught, but just understand, if you give me wrong directions, then I'm going to do a lot of things wrong really fast.
Nice.
And they're like, okay, that's good to know. Because then I'll be like, I remember I was doing this when I was stocking shelves at a grocery store, and I just started doing it. I'm blasting out stock because, I'd done that many times in my life. And, that's just one of the things that I can be fast at. And they're like, no, you already did half that aisle. I'm like, yeah, you told me to do that. No, I didn't mean that. Well, you didn't say that other thing. Well, now you can come help me fix it if you want, I guess, or I'll do it myself, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. But yeah, I think the key is building yourself. Anyway, Ryan, you got anything else?
Like at the end of that, you're just like, still getting paid for this, right? That stuff I just did. Yeah, because you're on the clock.
Right, exactly.
One last thing was basically just to emphasize the point that Joe was making. A lot of times, if you have a immediate reaction to like feel offended, I think it's really important to respect yourself, so that you can not have that feeling. A lot of that is insecurity and so on. Mm-hmm. And if that exists and it's not a matter of how they look at you, but you still feel that way. Like Joe was giving an example of like, if you feel bad because you are concerned with the way that they think about you, right? They're being mean or sarcastic or whatever, and you feel bad. It could be because you're worried about the way that they think about you. But alternatively, it could be that there's something you have to look at in the past and forgive. I see a message here. You tied a line. You made a line between. You realized that you said, okay. Do you know how sometimes you associate things with things? like earlier today, I realized I made a wrong assumption unintentionally. When I think of something like quizzes, you either pass or you fail, and are right or are wrong. What would you do to break associations with things like that? So I know you, Princess, and both you and I had struggled and failed a lot of tests in our youth because we understood something incorrectly. I remember getting tests and they're like, they tell you like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay. And you do it exactly as it says. And then you turn it in and they're like, no, you got it wrong. And I was like, there's no way I got that wrong. That was the one I was sure about. And they look at it and they're like, how no, it's obviously this answer. I'm like, you wrote the question this way. So I interpret it this way. if you meant the other thing, then write the other way. You know, you and me have both experienced that. We've probably all experienced that on tests where it's like, excuse me, you shouldn't write the question that way because it obviously is going to make me think, well, I guess maybe I'm the only one in the class that got that wrong. Am I? Oh, I am. Okay. Well, I guess it's still your fault. You know, we're upset because it makes a weird, like, honestly, we should not have, because we knew the answer if it was written a different way. Right. And that's one of those things where that's really tied in here. Like when we get something wrong, it's painful because we were right and we could have been right, but instead we just get labeled as stupid because we were wrong. And that's one of the things you got to go back at and revisit and do what Joe says. You know, you relive that moment and you just forgive that person. And you forgive yourself for thinking that you were, you know, whatever, for getting upset about it or whatever. So it's important to forgive the whole scenario, and that'll help you internally with going through problems later when you find out you're wrong about something or you misunderstood something. It won't feel so bad because you'll just be like, oh, I misunderstood it. That's not a big deal, right? As opposed to, oh, I misunderstood it. Oh, that's just like when I misunderstood everything else. Great. You know, it's a completely different reaction, right? But we have to relive those scenarios and forgive them and take the right action. Sometimes it's kind of like you go back and you relive the scenario, but instead of choosing the wrong reaction, you choose the right one. And then you kind of rewrite your mind so that when you approach it in the future, your mind is already on course for taking the right action, not the wrong one. So yeah, I think that might be one last thing you can attempt to do to help you out in this scenario, and these scenarios that will inevitably happen eventually again, because we're human beings. We have a difficult time communicating, but I'll tell you what, we do it a whole lot better than every other animal. So there's that. So anyways, yeah, blessings, and I hope that was good enough of a response.
Yeah, Princess, thank you so much for the topic, and yeah, hopefully some of that's helpful. I just know I've struggled with this so many times, you know, and it always cracks me up, you know, when people are like, they get annoyed when you ask questions, so then you stop asking questions and you just try and do things the way they want it, but it's wrong because you don't want to ask the question. But then they're mad at you because you did it wrong, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you're going to be mad at me if I ask the question. So like, I can't work with you. I'm sorry. Like,
I used to know someone that hated repeating themselves, even one time. And you're like, what did you say? And they're like, are you serious right now? I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, just ask what you said. I just want to know what you said so that we can
hear you.
Like, yeah, like, you know, I hate repeating myself. And I'm like, I guess it's more important that I don't know what you're saying than somehow.
Yes,
I get it, man.
Princess, that's perfect.
That way.
Princess says, I've learned to ask questions and ask for forgiveness. That goes a long way.
Yep.
That will smooth out many, many things. So thank you so much, Princess, for the topic, and thanks for reading it. It's always fun when I hear you read your own topics.
Yeah, that's great, actually. I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I see Royal is here.
Royal.
And yeah, Royal has a topic.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Yeah, how about it? How about we do that one?
Let's do it.
Humbly does it tend to Wooten wounds.
Wooten?
Wooten. Like Victor Wooten?
No. Like Fig Newton.
Wooten. It's
Wooten. Wooten, like Fig Newton.
Okay.
Victor Wooten?
Yeah, don't you know who Victor Wooten is?
No, who's that?
Oh my gosh. He's an amazing bass player.
Oh.
Played my autocorrect.
Oh, how did your autocorrect? Wow. Open turns into Wooten. I like it, dude. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what you often type. Do you know somebody with the last name of Wooten? Usually the autocorrects the things that you've typed before.
Well, the autocorrect knows who Victor Wooten is.
Apparently.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
amazing.
Maybe he knows the whole Wooten family.
Yeah, probably.
Sarah Wooten, Michael Wooten, Camelia Wooten, Francesca Wooten. I know those guys.
You know,
I don't know who Victor is though. Oh, do you mean Victoria Wooten? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Wrong one.
Wrong.
But all right. But this is called Ashamed of Failure. And it's from Royal. And yeah, click the link. You can read along with Princess as she reads it along. Maybe.
I'm getting there.
Oh, she's getting.
She's getting
just
okay.
Welcome, Octofuse. Anyway.
Welcome.
As per recommendation by our sweet princess, I will be leaving this here as to fill some time if necessary. But I don't see a need to do it as a deep dive, as it's a simple topic and it refers to something rather minor, maybe. So other topics are priority, but regardless, here it is. I disagree, but whatever. TLDR, I got into voice acting, fun gig, and I'm okay at it despite my less than favorable setup. But I don't often do stuff without a set objective that is more specific than just get good. Gaming makes you hate those two words, and I know all too well why. So I decided to YOLO it and sent an application for a main antagonist of a dub project.
Nice.
For someone without any actual experience, that was not shooting for the moon. I was aiming for at Andromeda at least. Such a grand idea ended just as one would think. I got nuked into the Shadow Realm by someone with a better setup and a far greater understanding of the actual character and what he should speak like. Kudos to the guy who got the role. He nailed it. And I can see what were the factors in him being chosen. I'm not salty. Okay, I might be a bit salty. Curse you, regular human emotions! Ever since then, my recording studio has been gathering dust. Why is that? Good question. I have tried stuff that was way out of my league before, and I banged my head on the wall until it broke. So why not now? Is it because of how public this is? I don't like doing public stuff, but I can, and I've done it before. I was a theater kid in primary and spoke in front of classes, not just my own. Multiple times in high school, stories for some other time. So why is it different now? The lack of a duty? And why is it now? Did I really feel so ashamed at my first application as to dread doing a second one? Okay, that one is a solid yes, but I'm typing this after all, aren't I? Brainstorming aside, central relatable question time. How to cope with an embarrassment that makes you run from the activity like Ricochet hair runs after criminals. Let's see how many people get this reference. From Royal Cycle.
Surely not I.
Yes, thank you so much for the topic. And Ricochet hair, I've heard the name. I know I've heard the name. I don't think I've ever seen Ricochet hair.
Was Ricochet hair a cartoon?
I think so. I think it was a cartoon.
I might have seen Ricochet hair once when I was a kid.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard.
But this is actually a really good topic. You could do a deep dive on this.
Okay, what was it?
Hey, it was a cartoon.
Okay, good. I think I know the one. Okay.
Yep. So, how to cope with an embarrassment that makes you run from the activity, like when you fail. Like, and I understand this. You know, there have been times, many times, when I've failed and I've just wanted to stop right there and do something else. You know, and I love that your recording studio is your closet. Ryan's first recording studio was a box.
It was like almost a refrigerator box, but it actually was the box for my keyboard.
Yep, his first vocal booth was his box from his keyboard, stuffed with soundproofing and set.
Yeah, cardboard box with soundproof tape stapled into it. It's pretty bad.
Yep, And I think there are songs on this channel that Ryan recorded with that setup.
Yeah, I think so. There could be.
Yeah, it's quite sure. But yeah, blankets are big. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because in fact, I have these two panels right here. I have this. This is just foam on a piece of wood, and this other one too. And then what that does is that provides a backdrop, right? And then I can take whatever tapestry or cloth thing or whatever and hang it back there, and I can double layer it and do all kinds of, I can do whatever, and then create an environment that, deadens, some of the sound reflections. But at any rate, if you really want to know about soundproofing a room, you need to talk to Ryan's brother, Kyle. He has studied this immensely.
Yeah, he actually is like professional. Like if he would be a grad student right now if that was his course.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm so glad because I've seen some of his designs. We're going to be building a studio for Ryan. I say we as in mostly Kyle. But
and Steve.
Hopefully I'll get the chance to help. Yes, and Steve.
And me too.
Yep. And I'm hoping I can help a bunch, but we'll see. But anyway, he's designed this whole thing and he's put it together, and he hasn't put it together yet, but he's put together the drawing and the plans and everything like that.
It's incredibly mathematical beyond what you even would think.
Yep. Angles and
reflections and the size of the waves, how they're going to bounce off the different surfaces, the density of the surfaces, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah. It was one big, huge bunch of math equations that he loves.
He's into it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. But at any rate, yeah, this is a great topic, and I'm really glad you posted it. And I can't wait to hear what Ryan has to say. So, Ryan.
Awesome. So first thing first. First of all, the first thing, and that will be the first.
Why?
Sorry.
Are you sure?
Sorry. Why is that even a thing people say? It's like while I was saying it, I was like, that is so dumb. Of course the first thing comes first. Ryan, what's wrong with you? Why not make it the second? Okay, second thing first. No, I don't want to do the second thing first. First thing I want to say is this. Dude, this is awesome. I want to hear you. Like, I would love, I know that's, obviously, if I was in your shoes, that would not be what I wanted to hear. But I want to hear you. If you have anything you'd like to post, like seriously, share it with me, like on Discord or whatever. Because, I mean, we're going to be hiring for some roles and stuff eventually. And so to get you on profile, that would be really great. But, voice acting is an amazing thing. And I have some friends in the industry, like Amory. She's amazing at it. Actually, Amory is become quite successful at it. She's not a super well known, but she is up there. In terms of voice actors or actresses, she's gotten a lot of roles. She has some major roles now. She's going to be a main character in an anime coming up here. I can't release any information on that. And stuff like that. She started a long time ago, but she didn't actually get any roles until after I met her, which was a few years ago, right? You expect as a voice actor or actress, you have to expect to fail getting in to the first 100 roles you set out for. If you ask any voice actors, they'll tell you that. They'll be like, yeah, I didn't get into the first 40 I applied for, and then I finally got one. And I had to go in every single time into their studio or send in a reel or whatever, send in something. Things that help are creating reels, creating little sound bites that people can just click and play. Like people put them on SoundCloud, and they're sound reels. So people, if they hear your voice and they maybe they like it, but they don't know right? If they want to be if they're like entirely interested yet, what they can do is they can look you up, they can find you, and they go click play, and they listen to your voice and the different voice styles you do and things like that, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy actually has a good range, right? And so that helps a lot, right? There's a lot to talk about in the voice acting realm, and I'd love to talk about it, but one thing I want to suggest, so first of all, if you didn't get in partially because of your setup not being as high of a quality, well, that's not your fault, right? You only have the amount of money you have, and you only have the knowledge you have of ways to set your room up. One thing I would suggest is if you're in your closet, that's, I mean, it might be better than nothing, but your room might be better than your closet. I would suggest this. If you're in a closet, now I've done some singing and recording in the closet before, and I've noticed that actually just being in an open room is better, even though it's still not treated. A room with a bed in it, a room with some clutter in it, some dressers, some clothing spread around, like just piles of whatever, right? Because what you want to do is you want to take the sound, you want to disperse it, right? So there's the least amount of reverb. If you're in a closet, what it can do is it can increase the reverb. It just makes it really close to you. So your ears hear it differently. So your brain thinks, oh, this is different, so this must be it. And it's not. And I figured that out eventually. After I did a couple of recordings in a closet and I had to scrap them all. Because the closet's really tight and the reflections bounce off. And even if there's clothing in the closet, it just sounds like you're being muffled even though you're not. It's weird. Mm-hmm. So what I would recommend is this. Put your mic at the edge of your closet, get in the closet and sing out of it. Or sorry, speak out of it. Because what's going to happen is the sound waves are going to go out from your voice onto the mic, go out into the room. And because the closet is hard to get back into for the reflections, because it's a closed space, and any reflections that do get back in, the chances of them hitting the mic again are going to be smaller. It's good to be in the closet and use that as a kind of like a shell around you on the backside. And then you speak out towards the mic, they reflect, and hopefully it doesn't come back to the mic from your room. That'll probably be the best setup you can do there if you're using a closet and you're using it without any kind of special tools or any special like cloth or whatever. That would be my recommendation there, Royal. You said I did some experimentation with a closet. I take some clothes off of every time and I keep the mic away from the clothes too. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, just experiment with it, I suppose. I mean, that's really all you can do, and then try to find the right setup that works best for you. But yeah, I just wanted to suggest that one thing. You can maybe open the door of the closet and sing out of the closet, hoping the sound waves don't come back into the closet. And you don't want to get stuck in the closet and bouncing around. So anyways, that aside, onto the topic. Sorry, we got into sound. This is one of my things. Mm-hmm. Voice acting, I'd love to hear you, man. So when you are learning something, right? When you're trying to do something, you're like, I'm interested in this, right? And then you get shut down. Sometimes the more interested you are in something up front, getting shut down hits harder. The blow seems far more intense. We hope so much to get something. A lot of times, like it's like a role for a play or whatever. We really get built up for that. I remember when I went for stuff in the past and you just don't get accepted. It is like a big blow. You get really excited for the part and you're like, maybe I could do this. And your brain starts filling it up. Like you go, I probably won't get that, but maybe. What if I did? Oh, maybe that'd be so cool. This is one of those things where we have to remember it's great to have high hopes. People say, don't get your hopes up. And that's absolutely awful thing to say. Get your hopes up. That's what makes us try hard, is getting our hopes up, right? It's dealing with failure or dealing with it not coming to fruition, right? It's not necessarily failure. It's just that it didn't come to fruition. It didn't come out and play out exactly as we wanted. Mm-hmm. How we handle that is everything. And I think recognizing that is important. So it's not that the expectation was bad. It's that my reaction to it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I change my reaction, right? How do I feel differently about not getting this role? Well, you can take it as a cue, like, oh, okay, I heard this other person and they did really good. What kind of things did they do? Let me listen to it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. So, like you said, okay, they understood the character. That's something I have to know. What else? Blah blah blah. Right? They were more emphasizing these type of things. They sounded more natural, or they sounded really unnatural for this role. There's all these things that play into it that you can learn from others. So instead of taking it as a failure, you take it as a victory because it's a chance to learn. You can't expect to get a role when you're just starting. If you do, it's I don't know, it's extremely unlikely. Let me tell you, like that is like 1 in 1,000 people probably that voice act get their first role. It takes many tries. And I think knowing that helps with understanding like, okay, the expectation is to not get a role the first time you try, because no one ever does. But we can hope and we can try. And that's the whole point, is if we can try, we can get better, right? So take it as a lesson rather than taking it as a failure. It's just a lesson. It's a lesson in the course of becoming a good voice actor. And I mean, it's an interesting thing too, because you could be the best voice actor in the world, but you won't get the role because they weren't looking for your voice. You know, not every creature in the world sounds like Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman's voice is brilliant, and anybody who can get Morgan Freeman on their show is more than happy to have him. Mm-hmm. But they don't want Morgan Freeman's voice for their 12-year-old boy. They don't want it for their 13-year-old woman. They don't want it for most of their characters. But it's Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman has a beautiful voice, and he's great at voice acting, as long as it's the role that you expect from him. Mm-hmm. If you hear Morgan Freeman do somebody else's role, it might be really weird, right? You try to get him into a different setting where his voice style doesn't match up, right? Where he's like Goku and he's like, ah! Like screaming for like 7 episodes straight before he does one Kamehameha, right? Morgan Freeman, I mean, that would be hilarious and everyone would love listening to it. But it's not Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman's voice is not Goku, right? So that we have to understand, like, even if we're good, it's the people get to pick. And it's not your voice that's an issue. Sometimes it's just the issue of how the people see the character. Let me give you a little inside hit, though, or from the people that I know. This is interesting. A lot of people, when they're casting people's voices, they don't know what they want. They don't have a clue. They just want you to sell them something. Believe it or not, people who are doing call for voice actors and actresses, they don't know at all what they want. They're just like, please, someone come along and give them a voice. Please sell me something. Sell me a voice that I can go, yeah, I like that. That would look really good with this character. Let's do that. A lot of times that's what it is. So if you can sell them something. Now, how do you sell somebody a voice? You just act like you getting comfortable with it. Sometimes it's getting to know the character, right? And then becoming that character, kind of filling that role and feeling it and just kind of going out of your way with it, going really intense with it, but sounding almost comfortable doing it, right? That's a lot of times how you sell the voice. People who casted the guy for Mario for Super Mario World, like all of them that he's in, like since Super Mario 64, Nintendo 64, they didn't know what Mario should sound like. Everyone came in with an Italian accent. He came in with this weird, high-pitched Italian accent, and they're like, yeah, that's weird. We like it. And the guy was like, really? I came in here on accident. I just like, I didn't think I would get this at all. I was just trying to be silly. And they're like, we love it. We love the silliness. And he's like, okay. And so the guy from Mario, the guy that plays Mario and all the Mario stuff, they just picked him because he was weird. But anyways, yeah, that's I know I talked like really long, but this is a really interesting, industry to talk about. But yeah, I'm gonna give her to Joe so Joe can make sense of it all.
I'm told in the chat that you were Leon the bounty hunter.
I was.
You were Leon the blonde bounty hunter in gold.
That's
armor.
right. I don't know if blonde was in there, but yeah. And golden armor. Wow, that's a really long name. Yeah, I was him though.
That's cool. I don't think I ever listened to your voice acting prowess. I was just listening to the songs.
I'm not that great. So what I do, okay, here's the thing. There's a difference between, so I might sound good. I'm not being like, I'm bragging at all because I'm saying I might sound good. I might sound good, but it's because I record a line and then I record the line and I literally record one line for half an hour to 1 hour straight until I listen to it and I'm like, I like that take. That sounded comfortable. That sounded natural. That sounded exactly like someone who would normally be in that scenario would say it, right? That's what I look for. But it takes me an hour to get it.
Make it sound natural.
I know.
Isn't that weird?
It is. And then basically that's how I do it. But people who are really good, like Amory, she records it once and they're like, oh, that was so good. That was so natural the way it came out. She's like, yeah, I know. It's because I do it for a living. I'm like, okay. She doesn't really say that, but that's my point is that though. So the more you do it, the better you're going to get. That's just how it goes.
Yes. That's the way it is with anything.
Mm-hmm.
With anything. So yes, to cope with an embarrassment that makes you run from the activity like ricochet hair. Yep. Sometimes you gotta sit back and reassess. But one of the things is to play that mind game, like Ryan was just talking about. Understand, it's gonna take you multiple attempts. That's just the way it goes. I remember being in sales. I remember I did door-to-door sales for AT&T Uverse service when it was first getting introduced to the area that I lived in. And we just moved back. I didn't have a job, and so I was like looking for anything, and I was like, oh, hey, these guys are hiring, but it was door-to-door sales. Man, I'll tell you, there's whole numbers like they associate with it. I don't even remember what they are, but it's like, okay, so you're gonna knock on 100 doors. Out of those 100 doors, probably 50 people will answer. Out of those 50 people that answer, probably 25 of those are gonna just slam the door in your face. Out of the 25 that don't slam the door in your face, you actually might get maybe 12 of those that actually listen to you talk for a few minutes. Out of those 12, you might get 6. I mean, they always kind of like broke it down in half, right? So it's like you might get 6 that listen to your whole presentation, and out of those 6 that listen to your whole presentation, maybe 3 of them, maybe 3, if it's a good day, maybe 3 of them will buy. And so out of 100 doors, you're going to get 3, maybe. So the point is, or else is Joe talking about sales after Ryan bringing up the idea you have to sell your performance. Coincidence for the perfect bridge? Yes. Actually, this is all the law of averages. The law of averages states, all right, and we were in business. Ryan and I have worked in together too. There was phone calls. You make a certain number of phone calls to book a certain number of appointments. Of the certain number of appointments, a certain number of those will actually keep the appointments. Of the ones that keep the appointments, a certain amount of those will actually book a follow-through appointment with you after you share your presentation with them. And then after that, a certain amount of those people will actually get started, right? And it's like, so like That's exactly what this is. So what you have to do is you have to bring it back to the thing that you actually have any control over. And that is, in the world of door-to-door sales, it was the door knock. That's the one thing I had control over. I could control how many doors I knocked on. When it was the other position, it was like, okay, how many phone calls can I make? And then sometimes I had to bring it back even further and be like, how many names can I put on a list of calls to make? And so once you do the work to create something to send off, it is no longer up to you. And like Ryan said, it's not necessarily, it doesn't mean that you're bad if you didn't get picked. It just means that your voice wasn't the right voice for that particular part. And it's okay. But what you need to do is figure out, how do I get the law of averages working in my favor? And so you look at the thing that you're actually in control of, and that is, you can create content. You can send out applications. You can, find them. You clearly, where to find them because you found this one and you sent one and you figured out how to do that. You are in control of how many applications you find and send. And that's it. Now, here's the cool thing. The more you do, just like Ryan said, the better you will get. Right now, you're a beginner. It's the perfect place to start because it's where everybody starts. Joe and I, when we started Double Cup of Joe show a few months ago, we were like, what if we're bad at it? And it's like, well, I guess if we're bad at it, since we're doing it 5 days a week, we're going to get good at it. Just because we're doing it, just because we're there trying, right? I mean, eventually you do something enough and you get good at it. I recorded some guitar parts today with that guitar.
Nice.
People ask me, how do you get good at guitar? And I'm like, you play the guitar.
How do you play the guitar? You play the guitar. How do you, what?
Yep. I was like, how did I learn how to play the guitar? I picked it up and I looked at some sheet music of some songs that I liked, looked at some chord charts, and I just, when I looked at a chord chart, I understood what that meant. And so I just put my fingers where the little dots were and I strummed it. And I was like, ooh, that sounds kind of cool. And then I started to be like, oh, then I have to change and I have to do this weird thing and I have to, and I'm like doing all these weird things.
Doesn't feel good at all.
And I'm like, that is not net. And now, like 3 chords in, I have a cramp. And now my fingers bleed and it's is terrible. And yeah, I mean, but you just do it again and again. Speaking of sheet music.
I don't have any. I'm sorry, bro.
Doesn't Cubase make a sheet?
It doesn't. I don't. Joe, you try to make a sheet music out of my songs with my 74 tracks and my half of them being, like, a couple of them being WAV files and sound effects that are produced by making weird alternate sounds. And
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It would look messed up.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Snowlock, you're awesome.
Yeah, you are.
I know. Yeah, I know you can make sheet music with it, but as a matter of fact, it was really interesting because I remember the first when Ryan and I were first working on our first project together, he would write the guitar part that he wanted me to play. It was all jacked up. Like I don't know what the heck.
Yeah.
I had such a hard time reading it, and I'm like trying to play it, and I'm like, oh, it's this. And then it was clearly one of the most interesting things about it was written on a keyboard, but he wanted a guitarist to play it. And like when you like the two different instruments are played differently, obviously. And so I'm like, these are some weird finger patterns like you're having me do here. Man. Like, what is this messed up? I'm modifying this. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. But those were all, excuse me, those were all moments in time of learning. Just like this first time you had here. And the thing that we usually get upset about is the thing that's outside of our control. And in this case, yes, there's an embarrassment that comes from the rejection that was outside of your control. You had no control over whether they would pick you or not. There's one thing you could control in that situation, and it is that you sent the application. And you can do that again.
Yeah, props to you, man.
Do that again. Yeah,
Seriously.
Absolutely. Congratulations. That's fantastic that you would do that. And so when you start to understand that that's it, it gets a lot easier. You're just like, oh, I'm just going to do the thing that I know I can control. And I'm not going to worry about the rest of it. I'm not going to think about the rest of it. I had on my to-do list all these phone calls I had to make to insurance companies and calling these places and different places to, deal with all kinds of other weird stuff, right? But the only thing I could control was whether or not I made the call. I couldn't control if I got in touch with somebody. I couldn't control if they would be actually able to fix my problem. I couldn't control any outcome of the phone call. The only thing I could do was make the phone call. And so I wrote it down. I wrote all these things down, these lists of places I had to call. And as soon as I dialed the number and hit send, I checked it off because I knew I was done with the thing I could control. So I had completed that task. I used to put tasks on there, like instead of call the insurance company, it would say, figure out what's going on with the insurance. And that was my task. And so then that's a more daunting task because I'm not in control of that, right? The only thing I'm in control of is, did I make the call? And then I was done. Done. Next call. Make the call. Done. Next call. Make the call. Done. And that's it. And so focus on the things you actually have control of. You've heard me talk about the circle of concern and the circle of influence. The circle of concern, all the things we're concerned about. The circle of influence, all the things we actually can do something about. And peace comes when we line those up. We line up the circle of concern and the circle of influence. Because then we're only concerned with the things that we can actually do something about. When we're concerned about things that we can't do anything about, it is frustrating. It is hard. And it's like, man, you feel powerless. But when you finally get those lined up, you feel like ultimate beastmaster. Like you're like, oh man, this is like, I'm awesome. And you can totally do it. So sometimes when you get knocked down like this, you can sit there and lay there for a while if you want. That's fine. I've been there many times. I've gotten rejected. I've gotten knocked back. And there are times that I sat around and whined about it and cried and, complained and whatever. Lots of times. But I noticed that the times I did that, all I did, it just delayed me getting the thing I wanted. Because like in the case of voice acting, like Ryan was talking about, it might take 100 applications before you get a role. So the only thing you do is get started. And the time you spend after getting rejected, the time you spend, being upset about it, it's just delaying your next step forward. So, and you can take as long as you want, and you can take as short as you want, and we will love you regardless. But I know from my own experience, I always prefer, hey, you know what? The faster I can get back up and go again, one, it numbs the pain of the last one because now I'm focused on the next one. So the last one was, that's gone. Whatever, it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore because I'm focused on the next one, right? And I move forward that much faster because I'm not sitting there, thinking about it. But anyway, I'm sorry, I went on for a while. Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, it's great. I mean, the amount of time you went on. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more. I just kind of want to say, I think that you're so right. You can only worry about getting better at the craft, right? And then sending your stuff in. That's all you can do. It's like, I mean, that's the case with anything, right? Let's say you build boxes for a living. All you can do is figure out how to get better at building boxes and keep on sending them out, sending them to people. If they don't like it, well, that's all right. I mean, you did your part. You could do all you could do, right? If they choose somebody else's boxes over you, that's okay. At least you tried. You showed them a sample, right? And so to worry about not getting in, right? The fact after you didn't get your box into the person, if they're like, yeah, we didn't like your box, we like this other person's box, so we're gonna take this box. And it's like, okay, well then my dealings with you are over. I'm gonna move on. All right. And that's because that's all you can do. If you're like, oh man, I didn't make that box sale, and then you feel like, you're just gonna give up. That means you're putting too much emphasis on the fact that you didn't get the box sale. And and instead of using your energy and power and your imagination for getting better at making better boxes or getting the next sale. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just have to apply to a bunch of places and then don't worry about like if they all accept you, because chances are they're not. And if they do, you'll figure out how to make it work. All right. Or you'll be like, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. But you know what? At least you got into like something, because then if you're having a conflict of getting put in too many places at once, it's not going to be a big deal to say, I'm sorry, I can't do this script anymore because you'll have to find somebody else for it. I'm sorry. I don't think it'll be a problem. So, yeah. Anyways, so all you can do is keep on chugging away, right? And yeah, and I think that's probably what you'll do, huh? Yeah. Proud of you for trying. It's actually impressive that you put your stuff out there. Most people don't, and that's why they never make it. I mean, that's the bottom line. Kind of like Joe and I talked about this many times before, but if you write a song but you never finish any songs, you're not going to be successful. If you write songs and you finish songs but you never put them out for the public to hear, you're not going to be very successful. You actually have to do all of that, right? You have to finish them. And part of finishing them is really just making sure that everyone else can hear them too, right? They're out in the open. They're able to be listened to. Until that point, it's not really finished. So until you apply your craft, that the trade that you've put time into is building up for nothing. So you have to apply, right? And so I'm really proud of you for doing that, because that's the hardest step for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So don't shy away just because you didn't get a role, because most people didn't either. I mean, there's other people who will apply for roles the same time you do, and they won't get in if you do, right? And that's okay. Everyone will get their chance as long as they don't give up and they keep on improving, right? So keep at it, man. Yep. And if you're looking for tips, there's lots of places out there for tips, especially for voice actors. There's lots of communities, and yeah. And honestly, you can even just, I mean, voice acting is one of those things where it's a trade, but everyone's heard it before. And so it's one of those things that a lot of times you can take a step back and look at, okay, how can I improve? And it becomes really apparent just by listening to your own recordings and being like, okay, yeah, I could probably do that part better. Let's focus on that. How do I do that better? How do I emphasize or change the way I speak for this to be better? So yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
You can have fun along the ways.
Oh yeah,
you know,
lots of fun.
have some fun, even in the midst of sending them out and getting rejected and everything like that. I remember a story that Steve, one of the guys on staff here at Black Second, sort of an old band that he was in, they were calling around places to book gigs, right? And his guitarist at the time, he called him up, and it was this place called Papa Lou's, and it was like Papa Lou's, like restaurant and bar or whatever, right? And they had live music and stuff. And he's like, it apparently got rejected, and he hung up the phone. And he goes, Papa Losers.
Jeez.
And then made the next call, and it was just like, whatever, on to the next one.
Was that Steve you said?
Steve didn't do that. It was his guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Steve actually played drums in that band.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
But yeah, it was funny. I'll never forget that, because there have been so many times when I've been rejected or had something fall through, and it's been a great reminder of have a sense of humor and brush it off. Let it slide off your back and move on. It's okay. It's once that's done, it's done. Now you don't have to worry about it anymore. You got that behind you and move to the next one. So it's great. But anyway, Royal, thank you so much for this topic. It's been wonderful to talk about it. And I hope that it was as fun for you to have us talk about it. And I'm really proud of you. I think this is awesome. And I can't wait to hear more about your journey, because yes, this is going to be cool. So anyway, keep it up, and know that we're rooting for you.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Cool.
At any rate, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here on Don't Worry Wednesday. Come back on Friday. We will be here again for Don't Fret Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel, same bat place. We got a new 3-step process for those of you who've been to the Double Cup of Joe show. 3-step process: like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Now I sound like a YouTuber.
That's right. Well, you are one, kind of. I mean, you're here often enough.
I mean, I'm on YouTube daily, so
daily, right?
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a great time. Oh, and don't forget, you can come check us out again tomorrow morning. Double Cup of Joe show, less than 7 hours away at 6:00. We will be here on this channel. We will be talking more about selfishness, and it'll be great. So hope to see you guys there. And if I don't, then we'll see you next time, whenever that is. Love you guys.
Love you. See you guys later. Peace.